Newtown this morning. Officials say Eve Barisi was hit in the rear by another car that was going at a very high speed. The driver of that car, 26-year-old Jeffrey Mortiza, a Waterbury resident, has been charged with manslaughter and driving while intoxicated. The fatality is the first of the Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year holiday. So far, police say there have been 50 motor vehicle accidents in the state, and in 10 of those, people were injured. John?
For clarification, that was not actually the accident scene. Those were the scenes of the increased police security that remain on the road until midnight Sunday. Coming up next on the Night Beat, Bill Patrick with sports. He has news of a big trade in the NHL.
But New Year's Day means college football, and Bill will take us bowling, so to speak, when we come back. Stay with us, please.
Another 30 seconds of common sense. Should you buy another used car or a new Hyundai Excel? With used, you never really know how much is left unused. But right now, for the average price of a used car, you can get a brand new Hyundai Excel. Thoroughly equipped, never used, never abused, and starting at only $49.95. I suggest you pull yourself together and get down to your Hyundai dealer. Hurry.
Test drive a new Hyundai Excel today at your Hartford, New Haven Hyundai dealers.
Wild Bunch from the past have their own new series.
You ready, kid? Yeah, born ready.
And a new way of making a living.
So much for diplomacy.
Well, you made your point.
Kidnapping and felonious assault.
You asked us to help a friend, and we did.
It's a showdown between their past and our present.
I've always been an eye for an eye man myself.
When Outlaws premieres Saturday on CBS.
Let's do it. Amen.
Slow and easy, but all the way.
To the hill.
Hi, my name is Mitch, and I'm disabled. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about what my friend Tom has, neurofibromatosis. See, you can see what I have, so it's easier to understand, and I get a lot of support. But Tom says NF is unpredictable and incurable. Even the doctors don't understand NF completely. Tom just doesn't have as many places to turn. I guess I'm pretty lucky.
Well, when there's news of a major hockey trade, Gail says there's one name that leaps to mind.
Yeah, the guy that wanted out of Washington, he got his wish today. Bobby Carpenter, no longer a Cap. He was traded from Washington to the New York Rangers today. The Rangers sent 3 forwards to the Caps in return for Carpenter. Bobby Crawford, Mike Ridley, and Kelly Miller go to Washington. Carpenter was the 3rd player taken back in '81 in the draft, and 2 years ago he scored 53 goals, and that's the all-time record for American-born players. By the way, the Caps today beat Pittsburgh 4-3 in overtime in the only NHL game on the schedule. After tonight, there will be one. Really, the only bowl game of any consequence this year, tomorrow night's Fiesta Bowl, to decide the national title between Miami and Penn State. But we have a bevy of bowl games to report on today, since this is New Year's Day. At the Orange Bowl right now in Miami, Oklahoma leads Arkansas 35-0 in the 4th quarter. It's been all Sooners. Everything else is in the books, including an impressive win by Arizona State over Michigan in the Sun Devils' first ever trip to the Rose Bowl. But things were looking mighty glum for the Devils as Michigan rolled up a 15-3 lead here in the first half. Jamie Morris scores the touchdown for Michigan, but quarterback Jeff Van Raaphorst and receiver Bruce Hill brought them back. They hooked up for a pair of beautiful pass plays in the back of the end zone, and they took the lead in the 3rd quarter on this play, 19-15, and they held on to win it by 7 points. Final score, Arizona State 22, Michigan 15. The Pac-10 has now beaten the Big Ten 6 straight times in the Rose Bowl. In the Sugar Bowl, it was practically a home game for LSU as they took on Nebraska at the Superdome in New Orleans, but as it turned out, that made very little difference. It looked in the early going like LSU would play well in this game. They scored on their very first possession. Harvey Williams scored the touchdown to make it 7-0, but the rest of the highlights belong to Nebraska. Quarterback Steve Taylor on the keeper on the option, and the Huskers led at halftime 10-7. 3rd quarter now, the pitch to Tyrese Knox, and he goes 34 yards, leaving tacklers in his wake. It goes down to the 1-yard line and scored on the next play to make it 17-7. In the fourth quarter, they put it away with 2 more touchdowns. Nebraska winning easily today in the Sugar Bowl. Final there, Nebraska 30 and LSU 15 at the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. At the Cotton Bowl, it was defense that helped Ohio State upset Texas A&M. It was the first time a Big Ten team had ever played in the Cotton Bowl. And the Bucks did their conference proud today. Quarterback Jim Carsado's got things going at the tail end of the first quarter as he threads the needle here to Jamie Holland. Down to the 1-yard line. The changed ends then for the quarter. And Carsado's took it in himself, and the Buckeyes were on their way to the win. The defense was really the story for the Buckeyes in this game as they picked off 5 passes. Chris Spielman with the interception here for Ohio State. He'll bring it back 24 yards for the score, and the Buckeyes were on their way. The final score in the Cotton Bowl, Ohio State 28 and Texas A&M 12. And finally, from Orlando, it was the Florida Citrus Bowl, Auburn against Southern Cal. USC gets on the scoreboard first as Marcus Cotton